What is up, everybody? Welcome to Geek Mense Shoot the Shit. I am your host, Buckmeister Cool, and I have today with me one of the greatest artists that I've ever seen, Mr. Clyde Beech himself.
Sup guys, Clyde Beech here. Um, I don't know about the greatest, but I try my best. Um, it's great to be here. Super excited. Looking forward to chatting to, as you said, shoot the shit.
Don't let him trick you with his humble bragging here over here. He's don't just follow him on Instagram and you'll see what I mean.
Yeah, we try. The South African art industry is definitely something that's up and coming. Amazing things are happening on the continent right now.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely been excited to see what's going on in the South African art industry. Okay, so we got a couple of topics lined up. Very excited to talk about them. We got some South African animation on the docket. Then we've got some Marvel stuff, a little bit of Marvel news, maybe news. Who knows? I don't know if it's still news. It might be. And then yeah, we got some animation shows that are not from South Africa that we're going to be talking about. You know, your popular stuff that's kind of out right now. And then we got a nice artist spot to wrap everything up. So I'm pretty excited to jump right into this and get this ball rolling.
Absolutely. Yeah. On this continental vibe that's going on now, like Africa and specifically South Africa has been put heavily on the map. I'm so excited for all the projects. I want to give a shout out to everybody making us proud. Um, just heard that Disney picked up a new anthology series, sort of Afro-futuristic content, um, called Kizazi Moto. And I know quite a few artists that worked on this project. I think the animation is being handled by Triggerfish. And here's the big exciting news that the director of Into the Spider-Verse, Peter Ramsey, if I'm not mistaken, he's going to be the executive producer or something. So like our guys are really starting to roll with the big boys as the due diligence is as they well deserve. So I'm super excited.
Now, man, I've been reading some articles on about it and stuff, and I've been seeing exactly some amazing stuff coming out there. I just saw that they are like it's Lucy. I see Lucy Heavens and Nick Small, right?
Yeah, they've got
Those
a
are the people that are
yeah.
going to be doing this entire animation thing.
They've got a show. I think it's called KIF, which is a cool word, very South African. So taking our vernac to the. I remember when I was in primary school, it was still popular to say something is KIF. So they've got a show called KIF, if I'm not mistaken, and then the Triggerfish guys, Malcolm, the Taco Universe guys, all their shorts or their shows are falling into this new Disney Plus anthology series. And then my girl, I remember Kay Carmichael. Apparently, she and Diane Makings. They're pitching a show to add to the Annecy Festival at the moment called Trogo. So there's like big exciting things happen. One of the guys I used to work with, I don't know if anyone knows. I used to be one of the art directors at Strike Entertainment, and I used to work with a dope writer called Greed Cameron, and he's directing and writing or directed and wrote a show that's also being animated by Triggerfish called SEAL Team. And the first look of it just came out. I think one of the voice actors is Dolph Lundgren. So I'm super excited to see where that goes. Literally, SEAL Team being a team of military SEALs, but like, Cape Town Harbor SEALs, SEALs. Yeah, so that sounds mad exciting.
Oh, so that was the trailer because I went to the Triggerfish YouTube channel and I saw like the trailer for it where the I think the seals are working, like the guy tries to feed the seals fish at the end of the trailer
Yeah,
and he says we're not doing it for the treats or something like that.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, Greek's always been super good at writing that kind of humor. So it's exciting to see people you actually know or you interacted with or worked with at some point during the industry to be doing such big things. So a very exciting time for us as um, you know local or African professionals. So yeah, man, they're doing the most.
So yeah, every South African that's listening to this, go get your UIF and then subscribe to Disney Plus.
Yeah, subscribe to Disney Plus. Disney Plus is going to get all the African region once this content drops. But I think I really do think it's worth it. Like I've had sneak peeks into a lot of these things through the come up, through the things that I'm sort of working on and developing on the side. So I've come across a lot of this content, and it's unbelievable. Like if you ever doubted that our standard was international or better, our artists locally, I think this is just going to set a whole new precedent. It's actually giving our industry, our animated and visual arts industry, its own voice, its own identity. And I'm excited. I'm excited to be um, in the generation that gets to witness and be part of this journey. So yeah, big ups to all those guys doing all the amazing things, and the others of you who are being quiet and secretive with your projects, who want to drop us with bombs one day. Just drop us with these mind blowing projects. Um, Big ups to all you guys, man. Keep it going, keep it grinding. I used to say back in the day, my early days, that um, when like I was so heavily invested and working in with comic books and motivating, that as a skill set, that if I'm just putting one brick down in that foundation, for the next generation, then I've served my purpose. And I hope that all you guys are laying down bricks and building a foundation so that we can actually have a viable industry one day.
No, I mean I can definitely see it happening in real time as a person who's been talking about this stuff for most of his life. I've seen like it's very different. There we have South African Spider-Man.
Oh yeah.
That was not a thing 10 years ago.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Talking about that, it's like look who these guys are in bed with, if you want
So
to put it that
oh
way.
yeah, go ahead.
Who they like think about who these guys are messing around with. You actually brought a full circle with the South African Spider-Man, because like Into the Spider-Verse is like, I don't know, one of my all-time favorite animated movies. It's the best Spider-Man movie in my opinion. And you know, these guys, our local talent, is being directed by Peter Ramsey, by the dude who brought you into the Spider-Verse. So, they definitely recognizing top talent, and you know putting the content creators with other top talents. So it's so amazing to see.
Yeah. No, that definitely I think is the best Spider-Man movie because the other ones, like the Marvel ones, are not bad, but they're not Spider-Man to me. And then the Sam Raimi ones, they're too depressing, where he's crying every 6 seconds. I don't like that. Like, don't cry so much.
Listen, I'll give
Cry
them
here, cry there, but if you're crying the entire time, guy,
I give them all their credit. Sam Raimi's movies are the campiness, that superhero feel and energy. It had that classic comic book energy to it. Although yes, you had Mopey Maguire in that movie, Cool Kid,
Mopey Maguire.
and then you had Andrew Cool Kid Pockets. Parker in the Amazing Spider-Man run. Like, I really liked that Spider-Man, but I wasn't a big fan of that Peter. And with the Maguire, with the Raimi movies, I was a big fan of the Peter, but not so much of the Spider-Man. And I think they got the balance just right in introducing new characters, expanding the universe. Talking about expanding universes, should we get into that topic yet, or should we move into um, 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 the next segment?
No. Let's sit here for a second. Sorry, I missed that last thing you were saying. You were expanding which universe?
No. We were talking about multiverses, and like when you look at Into the Spider Verse, what the theme is. And one of our topics for today has also got a lot to do with multiverses, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Most definitely, most definitely. No, I mean, if we have nothing else to add with I just want to also say, like, everybody, please go check out our in the link on the YouTube video for this, or wherever I put this podcast up. I'm going to be putting links to the articles that Clyde has mentioned, because this stuff is really cool. I saw some sneak peeks and everything, and with that particular movie that he was talking about, or I don't know if it's a movie. Is it a movie or a series? If we're talking about the SEAL team,
Oh no,
because
Seal
it
Team
looks
is
like
a
it was a movie to me,
Seal
but
Team
I don't
is
know
a
if it's a
feature
movie.
film.
Oh,
It's,
okay.
it's a feature film. I know it's been a long time in the making because when I left Strike Entertainment, yeah, I think it was in the works at that time already, which was about 2.5 years ago. So I know it's at least the development has been at least 3 years of that. But don't quote me. I have nothing to do with the movie. I just know a couple of professionals who's been involved in
Don't
it.
worry, we won't daily sun you. Don't worry.
Yeah.
We won't create a headline. It's fine. All right, so let's get into the next segment. So we spoke last week when we were setting this up, and I'm actually very excited to talk to you about this. So I don't know if you managed to catch the 2 episodes of Loki that have been out.
Oh yes, absolutely, absolutely. Also Disney Plus, by the way. Wink, wink, hint, hint.
Wait, wink, wink, hint, hint.
so
Yeah.
so
So what do you
far,
think?
I'm gonna be honest. So far, so good. Like I'm liking it. It's actually giving me. I don't think if you remember, there was a Ryan Reynolds movie called R.I.P.D. Also based on the comic book.
Yeah, yeah, I know RPD.
Yeah, so it actually gives me that kind of vibes. That and um, Umbrella Academy. Like I'm very good at referencing things and connecting things together. But I'm actually really enjoying it. I'm liking Tom Hiddleston's performance. Like I think this is a quite an insightful Loki. You know. Um, so yeah, I'm liking what's happening. I don't know if we're going to go into spoiler territory, but time policing and um, timelines and exploring the multiverse. Um, I see what Marvel's doing here because even if you looked at Endgame, the the explanations for time travel was they tried to make a complex idea as simple as possible. You know, and I think what's happening in this new Loki series is they're expanding on how time travel and multiverses and the implications of multiverses will affect the Marvel universe as a bigger whole. And secretly, I actually think this series combined with what happened in Wonder Vision is gonna connect together to bring all the facets of the Marvel universe together to explain them. Like, if they want to bring mutants into it, there's an easy way to explain, you know? Instead of erasing timelines, they link timelines. Because that's sort of what the timekeepers do. If you have a divergent or a variant timeline, they wipe out that timeline to keep the master timeline alive. Whereas you could probably loop it back but back then no X-Men existed, so it gives them an opportunity to retcon a lot of ideas. And I think in my own head, in my head canon, I think that's what's happening here.
Okay, so everybody that just listened to that beautiful explanation by Clyde Beech, that is the non-spoiler portion. Okay, so there are time codes. You can skip ahead if you don't want spoilers. All right, you understand? Or
Yeah, spoiler alert, there'll be a beep beep beep.
alert, alert, alert. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So we're talking spoilers now, guys and girls and non-binary pals and everybody in between. Yeah, all right. In the first episode, the thing that I want to talk about the most is when Loki finds the Infinity Stones in the desk.
Yeah,
That was just hilarious to me.
yeah. And that's like
Where, I mean,
so
that was
many
just
of these come past here. People just
so
use them
funny.
as paperweights.
Yeah, because the thing is with that was so hilarious to me was that Loki was stressing about this cube and these Infinity Stones like these are the most powerful things ever. And these guys they're using them like action figures or they're using them to hold papers down. And I'm like, this is what Thanos used to destroy the universe. Like, okay.
But I think that was actually a powerful moment because it just showed how important the time variant, what do they call the time variant agency, the TVA, how powerful they actually are. That these cosmic cubes, cosmic gems, literally don't mean anything to them. And I don't know if you notice in that desk, I didn't see very many green gems. Did I see a green gem? I don't think I even saw a green gem, which is the time gem. I should actually go back and check.
I think I saw one. I remember one. I remember seeing one, but I know there was a lot of reality stones in there.
Yeah. And I think that was the moment that sort of where there was also another great moment where actually fast forwarded his timeline, where I actually saw everything that transpired and went down, where they had clips from the movies from Thor Ragnarok and um, his death, and imagine seeing that, like, that's your reality. You don't exist anywhere.
I mean, it humbled him though, because Loki
Yes.
was going there and he was acting
And what makes
he
that
was
more
acting
powerful?
so high and mighty. He's telling everybody, nah.
Yeah, and this is what makes that more powerful. That moment, that this isn't even it's not the Loki we've been on the journey with. This is Thor 2 Loki, technically still. If even that, it's not even Thor 2 Loki. Come to think of it, because
No,
This Loki hasn't experienced. This is like Avengers 1 Loki. This is the Loki that was initially sent.
yeah,
This
definitely.
this is the local
This is
the
early.
Yeah, this is the one that was like literally just sent by Thanos, and who actually bowed to Thanos because Thanos had the power of the Mind Stone and put it in the scepter. And for just to be laying around like ornaments, he basically built his whole plan around these things that mean absolutely nothing. I also think there's some
Yeah, no,
his boss Mobius. I think there's
yeah,
something.
Mobius, yeah,
Yeah, I
Mobius.
think there's something in there because was the Mobius strip that Tony Stark figured out in Endgame for the time traveling. Is it related to him in any way? Or there's got
Whoa,
to
I
be
didn't
a
even think of that. Whoa.
there's got to be a connection there because Tony Stark basically, when he was looking at the graphs, he's like, invert the Mobius strip, and then and then he figured out how to keep them dilated in time, or the time dilation devices that they put on their wrists so they can jump through the timelines. The other implication for me is about the series. I don't know if they asked. I think they touched on it briefly, but wouldn't that make Cap thingy as well? Captain America should be a what do they call
A
them?
time criminal, yeah.
Yeah, not a divergent. What do they call them? With a V.
Variant.
Variants. Yeah, old Cap should be a variant as well. I just hope they get into that and explain how that thing, because that's the one head scratcher for me. Because they implied strongly that Captain America lived an alternate in an alternate timeline with Peggy Carter, right? But an alternate timeline could not have existed because the Time Police, the TVA, would have made it their duty to eradicate that timeline. And we know Steve would have lived in that timeline because if he jumped back to, when did he jump back to see Peggy? Did he jump back to the 70s or did he jump back to the 40s? And if he jumped back to the 40s, when he came back to give
Uh,
when he came back to give Mackie um, um,
I'm trying to
Falcon,
think. I'm trying to think.
when he gave Falcon back the shield, or gave the shield to Falcon to tell him it belongs to you now, he should have been at least 100 years old.
Yeah, somewhere there. So yeah, but I mean, like in episode one, they just say, "Oh, that was supposed to happen." Like when Loki's asking them, he's like,
Yeah,
but if it, guys, you can't just blame me
that
for."
yeah. And I think obviously them putting the time stones back into.
So yeah, you're right.
So yeah, that's just. But I think they're actually going to get into that. I think because it's only 2 episodes, we're just starting to figure out what kind of things. Just like in episode 2, where they're explaining that if there's a natural disaster and it's going to wipe out the civilization and their memories and any footprint you left behind in that timeline, you can exist there because it doesn't matter regardless, because something's going to happen to cause massive extinction. So I think as the series progresses and we go around with, I don't know what you're gonna call her, because that was also a big deal. This Loki, but I kind of suspected that from the beginning. I really thought it was gonna be Lady Loki, the chick that shows up at the end.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I don't know. I actually think she might be the Enchantress.
Oh, Sif. No,
Yeah.
is it Sif?
No, no, no. What's her name? Sylvia.
Is it
Silver.
Sif? I think it's Sif.
No, Sylvia. It's Sylvie.
Sylvie.
Yeah. The actually the one who normally wears green with the blonde hair. Um, she's yeah, one of Loki's subservients, one of Loki's servants in the sort of like move. But she's also got a weird trait. Sometimes she's good, sometimes she's bad. She's as Guardian sorceress, and in the comic book, she's often had affiliations with Loki.
I read some of those comics because I did read a lot of Thor.
Yeah,
The question that comes to her then is because she does the whole Loki smile, and she apparently knows like the Loki tricks or whatever the case is.
but I think that's a
So
red herring.
could it just be because I think the other thing is like as Marvel fans, I think as Marvel fans, what's this like? Remember when Mephisto was all inside WandaVision?
Yes,
Everybody was like, "Mephisto's here, Mephisto's coming."
yeah, and then they even threw
So
you.
I
They even
yeah,
threw
yeah,
you
go ahead.
in episode 1. They threw you a little Mephisto bone, and you're like, "Oh, the little kid is pointing to Mephisto, the devil." When he's in the church, I think it's like in the intro, in the cold open of the very first episode.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about. So, like I'm saying, my thing is that I think Marvel fans or MCU fans, we also make it more complicated than it might be. So it's
Yeah,
very possible that she could just be Lady Loki, but there's a whole lot of truth. Like there's a big chance that she is like Sylvie, and that she's working for another Loki who might actually be like the bigger villain inside of the series.
do you know what? Do you know what?
So
Eh?
we have to. I'm curious to see how that's going to work
Like I
out.
don't want to get that far into spoilers. I have exactly on what you were saying. That is one of my theories, and I think this is going to be one of those shows where, because it's Loki and because it's the god of mischief, um, what if the Loki we following throughout the story is not even the Loki we think it is? Because if you've read enough Thor comics, Loki likes to do illusions and throw you off. What if the timekeeper, what do they call them? The the Time Lords, those statues, the like the Time Guardians. What if the middle one of them
Yeah,
is
Time Lord,
it,
Time Guardian, Time. Yeah,
because Loki keeps talking about wanting to take over the TVA. What if the middle one is a Loki? Like I wouldn't be surprised if the show at the end throws you something like that. It's been me, the real Loki, all along. And I think the reason being is the clues come through the dialogue. Loki's talking about the two. Let's call them the two Lokis, Lady Loki and Loki. When they're talking about, I want to overthrow the TVA because I realize the TVA is more powerful than the Infinity Stones. I want to get I want to get an audience with the Time Masters. What if a different Loki, a different timeline Loki already took over this place? Because clearly this is a place of interest for him, you know? And what if the Loki we're following is not the Loki? Yeah, it's not a timeline Loki that we think. He might have similar um, um, timelines and stuff, but it might even be a variant of that. So I don't know. I think they might just come up with a whole lot of twists and turns, a lot of red herrings, a lot of making you think one thing and a different thing is happening. Um, The fact that in episode 2 they focus so strongly on Loki, specifically explaining the difference between his powers and what they think his powers are. You know, I think I think all of these are hints to a bigger thing, and us as the viewers, we might not necessarily pick it up, but it might come into play later on. And then the clues were right in front of you all the time. Like Loki,
That would be cool. That would be cool.
Loki basically says, I can do reality projection. Oh, what does he call it? Reality projectors, where he can mimic something on a molecular basis. He like can create a hologram that's specific to you onto a molecular basis. And in that same episode, the what's the little thing you call the little clock mascot for the TVA? She's running around on his desk, and she's basically a
Oh,
hologram. Miss
Miss Minutes, right?
Yeah. So she's dancing on his desk, and he asks her, "What are you? Are you a hologram? Are you real? Are you, sentient?" And she's like, "A little bit of both." So could she be a live hologram? Could she be a projection? Like all these things, like Marvel throws you the biggest twist and turns. So I tend to overthink. That's why often I just like to switch my brain off and watch shows sometimes, because I'll just end up dissecting and dissecting and make myself go crazy.
No,
But I do think it's gonna.
no, but that's cool. I like all of that. It's fun to like speculate and everything.
Yeah. And I think sort of that's gonna be the direction of this. I think it's gonna be
Like, because the other thing that I'm thinking about is that I'm just like, so also with the Time Lords, like when Loki's asking, like, you believe in these lizard people and they just control the timeline and it doesn't make sense. Like the way they set it up, you try and think about, okay, they've got this whole system in place and it seems like it's fine, but whenever you have to ask why, nobody has like a legitimate answer. So now
yeah.
you're just like, but okay, so we're just supposed to trust these guys with the timelines because of that whole multiversal war, and you guys just decided this will be the timeline now?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Like, is the fact that we're not supposed to, or us having divergent timelines, isn't that the order? Isn't this one timeline maybe the chaos? And that's exactly what I'm sort of getting at, is that these timelines and things intersecting. Because if you look at the culture of the comic books, timelines are kind of a fluid thing. um, how many Wolverines have existed and been pulled from various timelines and been put into this timeline? Someone dies and gets resurrected in this timeline. Um, DC's way worse with that, but in Marvel they've kind of got a order to it. Miles Morales Miles Morales lived in his own timeline, and Peter Parker was dead. Because that was a big comic book inciting incident when Peter died saving Cap. Was he saving Cap? Yes. When Peter Parker died in the outer, no, when he went home to save May and Mary Jane, when the Sinister Six was attacking. Like, that was such a sad book, and they actually
Yeah,
killed,
Ultimate Spider-Man.
and yeah, Ultimate Spider-Man, and they actually killed off Spider-Man to make space for Miles Morales to have his own place. And then, in a way, they kind of retconned it, where Peter came back as a mentor to Miles as well. So timelines and the multiverse is a big part of what Marvel history or legacy is as well. You've got various, you've got the
Yeah, I
extremes.
mean,
Yeah.
because I mean, you can get stuff like, what if Doctor Doom was Iron Man, and what if Captain America was a werewolf, or what was the other
Yeah.
one?
The,
There's a universe where
with Chitala is
Thor was
Star
a
Lord.
frog or something, and
Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah, the what if universes.
there's going to be there's going to be so much opportunity to go into these weird and crazy directions.
Yeah. And so if they explain it all right, like everyone's like, how's the Fantastic Four gonna come into your house? Uh, you notice how much they talk about Nexus events and Nexus beings, and um, now we've got Scarlet Witch, which Wanda, who discovered that she's a Nexus being, and Nexus beings can exist in your own form throughout all realities. So, and we know the next movie is called the Multiverse of Madness. So either the multiverse happens, and they just need to bring order to the multiverse and not erase it. Hence the word madness in the title. Or it's going to be like, oh, the multiversal, what you call it, secret wars and all those kind of things might just come into existence.
That yeah, I mean, like, because then I guess also that would be a way for Marvel to still, cash in on Iron Man and Captain America without having to use the original actors,
Exactly,
which I still don't know if
exactly.
they'll do that anyway. But yeah, like I think the multiverse is definitely coming. There's no way that it's not coming.
Yeah, and
I just don't know how they're gonna utilize it. And then also, if you look at something like Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, with like the end credits being 2099 Spider-Man and everything, are we
yeah,
gonna be seeing like versions of that or whatever? Like, I don't know if you ever played this game. I don't know if you ever played Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions.
of
You,
course
you
I
ever
did.
you ever heard of that game?
Yeah,
All right.
dude. Yeah, when I still had a Wii back then, a Nintendo Wii when that game came out, and I had a version port of the Wii.
Yeah, so I definitely can see something like that happening as well,
Yeah,
where there's going to be like a villain that threatens the timeline, and multiple heroes have to like assemble from different timelines to stop that villain or whatever. They've even got Kang the Conqueror coming, who
yeah.
always is messing with timelines and stuff. So I think that's the next big phase.
But remember, like Spider-Man is literally connected. Like all the Spider-Man from different time with Madam Web, or what do they call it? The not the web of time. The literally
The
the
Web of
multiverse.
Destiny.
The multiversal web connects all the Spider-Man through their spider sort of totem. So you've got it's always been a part of the Spider mythos, or the Spider-Man mythos, that is all these Spider-Mans are connected, and I think they do touch on it in Into the Spider-Verse as well. But yeah, Spider-Man have always been and sort of can transverse through time and have Madam Web sitting over there controlling timelines and having them work together to help and to save each other.
Yeah, it's well. I think the thing that's crazy about Marvel, right, is that with you and me, we know how crazy comic books get. Like, we understand how crazy they get.
Yeah.
Like, the thing that's really impressed me is they've managed to, for the last 10 years, make all of this stuff seem like it's okay. So that when they start doing these weird things, everybody's just like, that's fine. Because
Yeah.
if you were to explain to somebody before the Marvel movies came along how timelines and stuff work, they look at you like you're a madman.
I probably sound like a madman, like talking now, but yeah, you're absolutely right. I think, and that's what I think. The 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 reason for the Loki series, besides obviously Loki having a journey and possibly being reinserted into his timeline, to give Thor a bit of a break, so that Thor's emotions can recover a little bit. Shame. Um, they can explain timelines. They can explain the multiverse in depth and give it a sense of order. And I don't think it's by accident that it's called the multiverse of madness, because they talk about chaos and order and madness, and um, I think there's an actual concerted, like there's a real plan in this, so that us as the fans can understand if one thing happens here, this affects this in this way, and this will happen next. And I think it's actually going to go into more depth in the next episode, because and obviously
But
Loki
go ahead,
now.
finish what you were saying.
Yeah, and Loki now jumping in with someone who's had experience jumping timelines and resetting and collecting these canisters that can reset timelines and things. Um, I think we're going to get a lot of information in the next one, because now Loki's going to be with someone who actually knows the back doors, if you want to call it that way, the limitations, not a company sprouting propaganda, because the TVA does come across as one of those places that eat their own, believe their own BS.
Yeah, no, definitely. They just be like, yeah, no, this is the way the timeline has to be because this is the way the timeline has to be. It's like when you're growing up as a kid and you don't want to eat like your vegetables, and your parents don't even want to explain why you should eat your vegetables. They just say eat your vegetables. That's what it feels like. It's like, but I have questions.
Exactly, exactly.
The other thing that made me laugh, speaking of parents, is like how Mobius becomes like a dad in episode 2. It was so funny because like episode 1, Loki doesn't want to talk, and then episode 2, Loki is talking and he just doesn't stop. and
Yeah,
and Mobius is looking at him like, "Hey, man, go back to being quiet."
yeah, yeah. Let me eat. I get exactly 17 minutes to eat. Just leave me alone.
No, I was just remembering my what's this, my mom as well, because my mom used to say I used to ask a lot of questions, and it's like, I'm trying to get some peace. I don't want to hear you for like 5 minutes. Yo, man.
Yeah, I used to be a why kid as well. But why? Why? And once the why starts, it never stop, you know? But I like what they did with,
Oh man. Okay, so speaking of Marvel Phase 4.
yeah?
Oh no, go ahead, go ahead,
No,
go
no, I
ahead.
like what they're doing with Loki as well. Like here you actually get
Yeah, go ahead.
to see his intellect being used, not necessarily for a nefarious plan, but like for solving crimes. He's like a detective. Like he literally puts two and two together quite quickly. So you can actually see um, how his brain works, which I actually really like. You know?
Yeah, the only problem with that is that he feels like he has to be the smartest. It's like, okay, guy, we know you're smart. You can relax now. Like every 5 minutes, he's like, but you know I'm the smartest, right? But you know I'm the smartest, right?
Yeah.
But you know I'm the smartest, right?
But I think yeah, but that's his villainous nature, and I think that's something that's gonna make him in to other narcissists out there. You're gonna start seeing that like you think you're the smartest person in the room, but I think he's gonna get knocked every time until he starts learning a bit of humility. Like not even I'm the smartest. He's like even with Loki, I'm the best. I'm the number one, and that's why I also have that theory that a different Loki's already taken over the TVA and they don't even know it. Just to take him off his high horse, you know. He thinks he has a one up on everyone else, but he's gonna get caught
Yeah.
out, you know, so badly. He's gonna have his legs kicked out from under him. And I think that's gonna be the point of the series. We're gonna at the end of the series we're gonna have a brand new Loki like we've never seen before. Maybe even Loki the hero, who knows?
I mean, they did that in the comic books,
Yeah. But didn't they have him like
so
whole
I
beat?
wouldn't be, and
That's
everybody
like a
loves him, even though like he was a murderer for the last 10 years.
yeah. But it's the same thing that sort of like happened with Lady Loki and Kid Loki. Yeah, where they just get reborn with like his soul or with his like you know, with his essence.
So yeah, I mean, there's so many directions that they're going to take it in. But like speaking of, let's move into the next segment where we just talk Marvel in general. So we know Timelines is coming. Is there any movies that you're looking forward to in the current lineup right now?
I don't know. Like I'm gonna be honest, like I consume Marvel as it comes. Um because there's there's just so much to it. Like I have to say like No Way Home stands out for me. But I'm also really excited to see the Marvels or to see what they do with it. Like we finally get to see a live action version of Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel. And I'm keen to see how that works because in Agents of Shield they have Inhumans, but in the major MCU, like the movie franchise, they don't have Inhumans yet. And Kamala Khan got her powers with the Terrigen gas.
But apparently that show was so bad,
Quite
like with the Immortals, not the Immortals,
with
the
Inhumans,
the the Inhumans, yeah. So
yeah.
with the
Also keen to
with
see
the
the
Inhumans, yeah. Apparently the show, like I watched some of it, it was terrible.
yeah. I also watched some of it, but they had
But
a
sorry, go
dog.
ahead. You were saying
They had a dog in there. They had what's his name? Should actually
Lockjaw.
Lockjaw. There's the guy. He was in the show. So yeah, I'm wondering if they like just gonna scrap the whole Agent of Shield timeline and everything that happened in there because a lot of it is not canonical anymore. They might just.
Yeah, they might just.
I think yeah, the Marvels, also the Celestials.
Celestials is the is that the newest people that dropped? I can't
Yeah,
remember. The one that's come out. The what are they
the
called? They had Angelina
Margie,
Jolie
what's
in the
his name?
trailer. Is that them?
Yeah, and Angelina Jolie. Not the Celestials, the Eternals. Sorry. I'm just thinking Eternals because Celestials because the Celestials came before the Eternals. Sorry.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, the Celestials created the Eternals. So I'm just like
Yeah, yeah,
thinking
yeah.
those timekeepers are also technically Celestials as well. And Thanos was created by a Celestial. He was a what's their counterparts? Keep wanting to say the Divergence. That's the Eternals and
No,
the Deviants. Not Deviants.
I know what you're talking
The
about.
evil. They have their own evil
What?
counterparts.
Uh, yeah, yeah, deviant,
Are they called the Deviants? Yeah, so I am right.
deviant. You're right, deviant. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think like the whole Eternals and all these things, like all these things definitely have to link. Like we know that with the Marvel movies, they all cross and matter to each other. Oh, the other movie I'm really looking forward to because I love Taika Waititi. Like I gotta say, like Thor Ragnarok was one of my favorite MCU movies.
No, no, no. Thor Ragnarok was good. I did enjoy Thor Ragnarok. I just had one problem with it though.
Retconning the characters' personalities.
No, not that. Just like how it was a serious like situation, and like for example, when Odin like leaves, like Odin is the worst like comic book father I've seen like in a long time. He's very bad. Loki being messed up, right? I blame a lot of that on Odin. Cause like he's just like, yeah, you guys are gonna have to deal with this. I locked my daughter in a basement, and for years on end, after conquering like planets
I
with her,
got
and then I
tired
told her
of
we
the
can't do it
nonsense she
anymore,
was doing.
and now I have no solutions for you.
Yeah. So I'm gonna what's it turn into? I'm gonna become one with the Force, like the Jedi's, and just fade away. And now you guys deal with it. I'm gonna be a Force ghost.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying. It's like at least give me some advice or some hope. You're just leaving me with this
Curious to see.
like superpowered sister that you never told me about.
Oh yeah, and technically, like Hela like Loki's daughter in the comic books?
I can't remember. I can't
Yeah,
remember.
like
I
Hela.
don't think so.
If I'm
Because
not mistaken, I think she was like Loki's daughter. Like she's Hela is their like goddess of death in the Norse mythology. So I had this theory, like when I was hearing about the
oh
movie
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
Hela coming in, and it was before like the whole Infinity War. Like if you've read Infinity Stones or the Infinity Gauntlet, the actual comics, the reason why Thanos snaps everybody is because he wants to impress Lady Death. And
Yeah.
Lady Death, he wants to give her the gift of as many deaths as he can give her, as many lives as he can give her. And I literally thought they might just bring Hela in as being Lady Death and Thor having a boner for Thanos having a boner for. I don't know why. Sometimes
Yeah.
I stick to canonically to the to the comic book origins in my thinking.
That would have been interesting.
Like even when she knocks over the gauntlet that's in the treasure room in Thor Ragnarok, and she's like fake. I was like, you would know if you know who Thanos is.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And
I
it could,
thought that would have been interesting.
and she could be the goddess of death. It would have still fit within canonically. But anyway, um, what I was gonna say is what another movie I'm looking forward to from Thor is Love and Thunder, where they're gonna do Lady Thor or the other Thor.
Did you see Chris Hemsworth's picture for Love and Thunder? He looks
I
like an action figure.
I didn't. Um, what I'm what I'm what
He's
I'm
huge.
what
It's
I'm
ridiculous.
but what I'm wondering is, I'm actually oh geez, yeah, oh that image with him and Taika Waititi.
You see his arms. Like you. What are you eating, sir? He's eating whole cows. He's not even eating half a cow now. He's just eating the whole cow.
You know what I'm actually curious about? Because if you think about like Thor Ragnarok, they took the Ragnarok storyline and they combined it with World War Hulk, not World War Hulk, Planet Hulk. They combined those two storylines to create a story. So I know in the comics, I don't know if you know the spoilers from Love and Thunder. Should I go into spoiler territory with this?
I'm kind of aware. I just know that that's where yeah, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. I think I've read it. Like I read
Those
a
who
lot
don't
of
know.
the
Yeah, so those who don't know who Thor is, I'm not gonna say who Lady Thor is. Oh, do you think everyone knows by now who Lady Thor is? Come
oh
to
yeah,
me.
that I know. That I've known for a while.
Because like, yeah, so I have a fact. Okay, I'm just gonna go into it. So we all know Jane Fonda becomes Lady Thor, and in the comic book she has cancer. She's dying while she's Lady Thor because when she wields Mjolnir, then obviously it gives her the power of Thor. But she likes being in the power of she likes being in a Thor form because it makes her feel powerful. But the more she uses it, the sicker it makes her. So I'm wondering if they're gonna retcon something. Like remember she had the ether in her. She had that was the reality stone, eh?
Yeah, yeah. One
So
of
I wonder if the
yeah,
ether.
yeah, that was a reality show.
So I'm wondering if the ether didn't cause like long term damage. And something's gonna happen and she's gonna get Moldia. Maybe Moldia gets somewhere lost in the timeline because remember, Cap was supposed to take it back and place it back into its timeline. And that was the same time that they extracted the ether from her to get the stone so that they could do their own snapping. The Avengers, Rocket and Thor. So two things they took out of that timeline was the ether or the reality stone and Moldia. Yeah, and I think what if those events have something to do with her becoming, or the returning of those things has something to do with her becoming, Lady Thor. And at the same time, Thor in the future is having his identity crisis thing because he's a Asgardian of the galaxy right now. And that could play into the unworthy Thor timeline as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm actually keen to see the unworthy. Like if there's a different Thor, he'd probably have to be unworthy Thor because he wouldn't be able to lift Mjolnir.
Oh, so you think they're gonna totally strip? Because I mean, without Milner, he's still pretty powerful.
I
And
know
well, the other thing is that he doesn't really need He doesn't really need
he
Milner
only
at this
uses
stage, and then he still has
but
Stormbreaker. So, but they might.
exactly, and like maybe if we're lucky, we'll get to see Beta Ray Bill or something like that.
Yeah,
Because
because I
that's
mean,
the other thing with
Stormbreaker was
Marvel.
originally Beta Ray Bill's.
I'm
Yeah, I'm
losing
saying that Beta Ray Bill, he was the one who owned Stormbreaker.
Yes. Well, he got his own. Yeah. In the comics, I think he made him his own version of Mjolnir, but yeah, it was called Stormbreaker and granted him the same powers as Thor. And
Because yeah, no, Beta Ray Bill is actually really cool. He's one of my favorite characters from the Thor universe.
yeah, one of the Asgardians of the galaxy.
I actually like that name. That's actually pretty funny.
Yeah. Actually that's another one I'm looking forward to, but I have no direction where they're going.
So
I don't know. You didn't say what
yeah,
you're
for
looking forward
me, I
to.
think I'm looking forward to almost everything except yeah, yeah, yeah. For me, the thing that I'm looking forward to most of them, except for Wakanda 2, which is what we're going to talk about in just a second,
Yeah.
and also like No Way Home. Like I'm worried. Like I'm gonna sit on No Way Home for a second, but like No Way Home, I'm a little bit worried
Okay. Okay. I hear you.
because like everything that I hear coming out, there's so much news. There's just so much news. It's like we're gonna have this, and Doc Ock is coming back, and Sam Raimi Spider Man, and Andrew Garfield Spider Man, and they're gonna be fighting 6 versions of Electro, and
Yeah.
it's just like, okay, guys, whoa, 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 whoa. How much movie?
What I need to find out from that news is, do Sony and Marvel have an agreement? Because it sounds like with No Way Home, they're trying to they're trying to do what they did in Into the Spider Verse. Like it would be dope if Into the Spider Verse characters crossed over into the No Way Home universe as well. Like they're apparently talking about like with Morbius and connecting Tom Holland to the Venom story more and the Mobius story, not Mobius, what's his name?
Morbius, the Living Vampire.
Yeah,
Yeah, somewhere there. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how that plays out. But I'm just saying there is just a lot of stuff in there where I'm just like, poor Tom Holland. He's like buried underneath like 16 universes in his own movie.
Yeah. Look, like I'm still excited. I'd seen them all, and you take them one at a time. We don't give um, like Thor two. Thor two wasn't the strongest movie for me. Captain Marvel. I'll also be honest, like wasn't my favorite movie, but all those movie has its places in the bigger picture and the bigger story. They have a reason for being. Sorry, excuse me. They have a reason for being there, and they have a reason for setting up scenarios. In Endgame, if we never met Captain Marvel, Spider Man and the Gauntlet would never have gotten to Tony Stark, and Tony could have never snapped and fixed everything in the universe. So she was important. Um, in Thor 2, which is probably one of the worst Marvel or MCU movies, um, Loki and Thor actually bonded. Their mom got killed and they worked together, grieving their mom, and it made them stronger when it came to Thor Ragnarok. So everything has its place, and Marvel's good at that. I don't think every movie can be a 10 out of 10, but as long as it contributed to the bigger whole, what did Vegeta always say? The ends justify the means, Kakarot.
Yeah, definitely. And I will say with Thor 2, I actually liked Thor 2. I understand why people don't like it, but I did like Thor 2. I also, yeah, the Captain Marvel was like, it was not bad, but like everything that they did that was good, they kind of just reversed it. And I will never forgive them for what they did to Nick Fury. Like Captain Marvel, I will never forgive you for what you did to Nick Fury. That eye patch was important.
Yeah. Hey, like they just made it like they
He
just
gets
took a
defeated by a cat.
by a flirt and I actually don't like what they did to Brie Larson. I understand the directing there for her character, like, um, but as a person, like the actress, she's likable. But in her press and her things afterwards, like there was just something off about her. Like and I do like her as an actress and things like that. But they made her just feel cold and dead in Captain Marvel. They didn't make her likable
Yeah,
enough as
no,
a character. And I understand why.
yeah.
And I understand why. But what was the other dude? Jude Law. Jude Law? Was he Marvel?
I forget the name. Oh
Was
my
he
gosh.
Marvel? No, he wasn't
Yeah,
Marvel.
yeah.
Was he Marvel? But even he was more likable
I
than
can I
her.
can check now. I don't know. He might have been Marvel.
Like they.
Uh, Captain Marvel, Jude Law. Who is he? Jan Rog.
Oh yeah, no, no,
Oh,
yeah. But anyway,
Marvel. Wait. Oh no. He's Jan Rog. He's Jan
yeah,
Rog or
no,
something like that. He's
yeah.
not Marvel. Anyway,
But anyway, yeah. Even his character was a bit more likable, and he was the villain,
but like I
so
think that's the part. Yeah, yeah. I definitely agree with
that.
what you're saying. Like it. Hello.
I'm there. I'm here. I'm here. I'm here.
Okay, cool.
I,
Yeah,
I,
No, like what you were saying, like yeah, I got the idea, but the execution was it was just not good. And the problem is the sad thing was actually that if you look at some of that movie, like in the beginning parts where she's on the Skrull ship or whatever, or that ship and stuff, like
yeah,
that action scene was pretty fun, and you get to see her do like some very cool stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like there is
yeah,
like a lot of personality in there, but then towards the end of the movie, they just strip her of everything.
yeah,
And then also like this is I don't want anybody to take this sideways. I don't want anybody to take this sideways, and I'm going to get off this in just a second. But like was this when they kept on pushing like the obvious like feminist agenda, which I support. I mean, I support feminism. I'm not saying it's a
yeah,
bad thing. I just think that the way they put it in that movie, it was just a bit much. Like there was a scene towards the end where he's like, if you want to, if you want to prove you're a warrior, challenge me without your power, challenge me, and she just blasts him.
yeah.
I found that hilarious.
Exactly,
I was just
exactly,
like, yeah, that was good.
exactly.
And then she ruins it by like saying, I don't have to prove anything to you. It's like you don't have to say anything. You did fine.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let the actions speak. That yeah, you're right. It's like when you start pandering, people can actually feel it. It kind of makes you cringe a little bit. Like I'm all about like you said, like female empowering and having um, strong representation. But when you sometimes when you just there's certain things if you just say it out loud, it makes you cringe.
Yeah, that was definitely one of my issues with that movie.
But yeah, other than that, I thought it was a cool movie. It was a cool like buddy cop movie. Um, I, I don't know what how they directed the character, but they made such a likable actress like really kind of unlikable, and I don't know how they got that, how they managed to do that.
Yeah, and then the fans went crazy because fans are like stupid. I hate that with fandom sometimes. Like they did that to that Star Wars girl. When we have our Star Wars episode, I
Oh
think we should
yeah,
also just touch on that for a second.
what's her
But
name?
like then everybody
Rose.
was attacking her, and it was like, oh my god. And I was like, yeah, Rose. But like they did the same thing to like Brie Larson, where it was just like
Which is
everyone was
stupid.
attacking.
Like
I was
they
like, guys,
never
it's
attack anybody.
a movie. Relax. Like
As
you.
as 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 like as like what they did to what's his name Kurt Russell's Howard Russell. What they did to him in Captain America when um when he came out as Captain America. Like he's an actor who plays his role so well, he became unlikable. He's not that person in the real life. Do not attack people for roles they play on screen. You know, like that is the most idiotic thing you can do. Like, think of me what you must, but I stand by that, and I'll fight you. You know,
No,
like
I mean, and he could, by the way, he knows martial arts.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
But it's like I don't know if you like there was like this there was this episode of like Seven Delan where I forget what her name was. I think it was Rita because I used to watch Seven Delan on and off when I was trying to learn
Yeah,
Afrikaans for school. But
yeah,
like there was this lady who was like she's like the Clive Barker of the series or something.
yeah.
Yeah, and then she was telling a story on like the news where some old lady or whatever went to the grocery store and saw her at the grocery store and started attacking her
Oh,
because
sorry,
of
the
the thing she was doing in the Seven Delan show.
But you see, it's great to have parents who are passionate to get into it, but like, yo, that's not those people. Those people aren't really like that, you know. Oh, and I need to correct myself. I think I called him Wyatt Russell, Howard Russell. It's Wyatt Russell, by the way. And I love the actor. He's a great guy, cool actor. Um, when they do season two of Falcon or Captain America and the Winter Soldier, when they do season two, he's gonna be a great U.S. agent.
Yeah. He's gonna be fantastic. He was really good in that show. Yeah, but fans do get way too passionate. But speaking of like fans and passion and everything, I don't know if you got a chance to research it. There was this whole the whole recast of T'Challa movement for Wakanda for Black Panther 2. I'm not. I forget the
But
name of the title. The name of the title. Hey, score
I'm gonna
English.
be honest. I didn't
The
check it
title of
out.
the movie.
I didn't check it out. It would be great if you can enlighten me. Um, but I thought some of the news said that they would not recast Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah, that's what's coming out. That's what
Don't
that's what a lot of
don't.
news is saying is that some of the actors are. Oh, okay, go ahead.
No. Yeah, I was listening. Yeah, like
Oh,
I wouldn't recast him. Like Black Panther is a mantle. It's a title. You know, it's not your your rank. Many people have been Black Panther even throughout the the comic book or the Marvel comic book universe. There's been lots of Black Panthers. There's been sometimes there's even been multiple Black Panthers at one time. Why not just like pass the mantle on to Suri? Have him out on international affairs, so
well,
we just don't see Chitala, and then we just put Shuri in the costume, in our own version of the costume. So don't recast
no, a
the
lot of
actor.
people are having. I want T'Challa though. I want T'Challa. T'Challa though. I want my T'Challa. Like it's this because growing up that was the first like black superhero that I actually got to read and everything. And a lot of people like I'm not hardcore on it. I understand why people are saying not to recast him, but like other people are saying that even if Shuri does become Black Panther, that's not the issue. We just want him in the universe still because there's like so many cool storylines that happen with T'Challa's character in particular that a lot of people want to see. And with the multiverse and things going on, I think that they can still, safely
Or like do
recast
something
him
like
without
that.
having, major issues in a sense that it's like, oh, yeah, I think they can do that. Like, I think a lot of people are just saying just recast him out the bat, and there's going to be some pushback that comes with that.
I understand. So with the multiverse stuff coming up as
Oh,
well,
sorry,
yeah.
go ahead.
Like if the multiverse stuff, I'd love to see. I know it no longer. Sorry, I didn't last in the comic books, but when him and Storm, when they were together,
Yeah, see, like stuff like that.
like
A lot of fans really want that stuff.
yeah. What's the name? Aurora Monroe. What was the name again?
Yeah, Aurora Monroe, Storm. Yeah,
Yeah.
you got it right.
Like, geez, that's just a power couple to the max, eh? That's like
Yeah,
a
no, that was one of my favorite runs in comic books for a while is when she gets married to Black Panther because I have opinions on X-Men that other people don't share. And yeah, I'm probably gonna see if I can address that in a video at some stage or whatever. But like when they were together, that was a really good run of books. I
yeah.
really liked them two together. Yeah, another thing for me is that with T'Challa being in the universe, I wrote like a fan fiction of how they would do it in story, which I thought would have been cool because it was basically just introducing Namor and like Black Panther with history or whatever between the two of them, so they could be like at a war, and Namor could have done something to end that particular universe in the multiverse, and then
Yeah.
boom, they jump into the main timeline or the main universe, and then from there you have a Black Panther who exists, but he's not like the king of Wakanda or whatever. Then Shuri can handle that, and then they can like work from there. I thought that would be
A good in the
a good
universe
thing.
way. Yeah, in Endgame, I think they did subtly suggest that Namor was coming because they're talking to what's her name? The Dora Milaje chick. They're talking to her when Scarlett Johansson when Black Widow's talking to her. Then they're actually talking about, oh, there's been earthquake.
Not.
There's an earthquake under the ocean that moved. Oh, we should go check it out. And they're like, no, just leave it. It's an earthquake. I think that was a subtle hint at Namor coming into the MCU at some point.
Yeah. So I mean, Marvel is not above doing that. Marvel is definitely not above doing that. I think the only thing, like the thing is with the fan fiction I wrote, it was just a thing of like that would be a way to introduce them, have them have the beef that they have in the comic books because
Yeah,
those guys do not like each other in the comic books. And then from there, what's this? You can spiral into Wakanda versus Atlantis, which could be the plot of Black Panther 2 or 3.
absolutely.
But like I think the thing is that what worries me when they if they don't recast him is that a lot of people who like because the Black Panther thing was a huge phenomenon. I mean, even in my personal opinion, like Comic Con itself and the American Comic Con machine, they weren't even thinking about Africa in that sense to bring a Comic Con here. Like they weren't even thinking of bringing that brand here until that movie dropped.
You
Because
think?
like we've been pushing for cons, like a big con like that for years on end. I don't know if I'm wrong.
I don't. It was
I
it,
might be wrong, but in
but
my personal opinion, that's the only time I saw it move.
yeah. Look, I also have my opinions about it. Like, I love the movie and everything, the Black Panther movie, but I'm gonna be honest. I don't know. Black Panther is a movie about Africa, but I don't know if it's for like Africans. If that makes sense. I don't want to get controversial on that topic right now. if
No. I mean, I hear what you're saying. Though. I hear what you're
it's a
saying. I
movie
hear what you're
about
saying.
Africa,
But I mean, just in terms of like,
aimed at a Western audience. It did the most, and I respect it for everything that it did, you know. But it didn't necessarily show an authentic Africa, if I can put it that way. And I suppose that was never the intention. It was showing you a what if.
so they couldn't give an authentic experience But I mean, like in terms of opening up the West into what we are actually doing here,
Yeah,
because I mean, for one, the whole brand of Comic Con or whatever is it's cool. I enjoyed the cons that I went to, and I'm still gonna go to those other cons, and it was cool to meet like
yeah,
other creators. I did think that we needed them in particular, but I also think that Comic Con only came here after the movie, because if like the thing is that the reason why it was such a phenomenon, not just in America but definitely when the money that it made across the world, most of that came from this continent. So like
yeah,
I think that's when they started paying more attention to it over here. And I think there's just a lot of Black Panther fans who, and there's just a lot of fans in general who still want to see a T'Challa in the Black Panther universe. So I think they can recast him using the multiverse, and then they can respect everybody in the process and still have Shuri become Queen of Wakanda, just like in the comic books, because there's a
mm,
time where she becomes queen. So they
yeah.
can still do that.
That's sort of what I was referring to in the beginning. Um, I hear you. Look, you can't make everybody happy. Um, and yeah, like it's just probably one of those things where we'll see that like that's an executive and a studio decision at this point. And I get the idea of being respectful of someone's role. Like, um, but I want to raise a question, but it's gonna come down to the same opinion. If after Heath Ledger played the Joker, and that same timeline of Batman carried on, or we followed that same Batman in the next story, Christopher Nolan Batman into the next story, and they brought back a different actor as the Joker. Um, some people would be pissed off, I suppose, because like, what are you doing with that actor's memory? But the show must also go on at the end of the day, and I think that's what you're trying to say.
Yeah, I do understand respecting the actor's role, because definitely you must never forget what that actor did. You can't. And definitely to just, I think, to recast him off the bat is a bit much. So if you give it some distance, sure. But like
Yeah,
the other thing is that we've had three Spider-Mans, we're gonna have two Blades, we're going to have we've had two Captain Americas, because there was a Captain America in the 60s or whatever. So I
yeah,
think the other thing is that the character did come before the actor took the role. So a lot of
yeah.
people love the character. It's not even just about like the mantle per se. The actual like T'Challa himself, before he even becomes Black Panther or wears any of that stuff, that character himself is a very interesting character that people don't want to see go away. So
Yeah.
I think for me, what I said is when people wanted to talk about it initially, I said, let's not talk about it now, because that's not fair. We don't need to be rushing into anything. Let's just give it some time and give it some space, and then we can talk about it and talk about how to do it. Because I think that's the best way to do it, is to give it some space, respect the actor, get the actor the accolades that they deserve, especially if they pass before their time, and then you can talk about recasting it. And I think also what people must realize is T'Challa coming back, it doesn't affect Shuri becoming queen. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't stop that from happening, because in the comic books he still was Black Panther and she was just like queen,
Well,
and he
even
still worked with her, and he was actually even a part of her council.
even if Shuri doesn't be queen or become queen, if they just put in a new actor who carries on from where Chadwick Boseman uh, left off, and just comes in as a new actor. Sometimes it happens. They kind of did it with Norton and Ruffalo. They don't really focus on it so much, but they kind of did that.
Yeah, no, that's true. But I mean, I'm not. It's not to discount what you're saying as well, because I think there are some people who are just hardcore about it, and they don't want to listen, and they stubborn, and they just no, this is the way that it has to be. It was like, one, you can't control that. The only thing
Yeah.
you can do is just not go see the movie. So if you don't want to go see
Then
the movie,
again,
then just don't go see the movie.
but
But
then
like,
again, then
yeah, I
again,
definitely, I definitely
to
see.
to people like that, I say go look at the news and the trending articles when the first Iron Man movie came out, and they put Robert Downey Jr. They cast Robert Downey Jr. as what's his name, as Iron Man, as Tony Stark. Go look at what the tabloids were saying. Look at how they discredited him as an actor. Where people were like, "No, he can never do it. He be Tony Stark. He doesn't even look like Tony Stark." He doesn't act like Tony Stark. No, that he'll never be a good one. He's a drug addict. He's been in and out of prison. There's no way. They're only casting him because him and Tony Stark have a drinking problem. And that's literally what was happening in the tabloids and happening in the news. And now you can't imagine anyone else as Tony Stark. Even the comic book representations of him, even um, you know everything, every variation of him in literature, even the stories are becoming more are connecting closer to what the MCU, the movies did than the classic comics did. When you read the comics now and you hear and you're reading Tony Stark's voice bubbles, you read it in RDJ's voice.
Yeah. No, I mean, definitely. I know a lot of comic book like artists there at Marvel or whatever. I know that they say that we don't follow the movies or whatever, or the ideas that we have. But like some of those ideas, I look at them and I'm like, all right, come on,
Yeah, you can't.
come on.
You
Like
look at
it's okay. Like I get it. You're trying to get like more people to read the books.
well, look at Captain America before the movies, and look at what he looks like in the comics now.
Yeah,
You
definitely. Like his design is based off the movie design.
Yeah, so much more now. You hardly ever see him in the with the chainmail on his chest anymore.
Or the wingtips, like or the
All the
wingtips.
wingtips, even, yeah. It's like if they do add it, it's painted on.
So I mean, yeah, I don't know why they do that whole thing of like, we don't follow the movies. It's like, no, you do. It's okay. We understand why, but
There's nothing wrong with it. I'm gonna get a
you
little
do.
bit like into our process as well, like um, with the whole Quasi thing. Like, I don't know if I should mention, like, I work on a project called Quasi. It's a South African superhero comic book, and we developing it into an animated show. So what naturally happens is that we were developing the comic books for so long that we have certain impressions about certain characters and certain places we wanted the world to go, or we wanted to happen in that world's universe. But that was the comic book agenda. Then we took a break on the comics for a little bit and started working on the show, on your scripts and your Bibles. Then you start to get new insights into characters and get new ideas. When you go back to the comic book, those insights from the show start feeding into the comic book. So sometimes you retcon things, sometimes you change things, but you just realize that certain directions just feel more like your character. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. The one medium can feed into the other medium, which feeds back into that medium. Like, comic books were nearly dying, right? Superhero comics were nearly dying. Then Spider-Man came out, or Blade came out, superhero based on comic books. Then when you find out, oh, that movie is based on a comic book, you go back to the comic book and the genre started to pick up again. So the different media aspects, it's like TV isn't killing paperback or books. It's actually helping to invigorate it. You with me,
No,
bro?
I totally agree. Like, for example, that a great example. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. Like a great example was the Blade movies. Like Blade
Yes.
in the 1970s and Blade now, it's two different blades. Like they redesigned Blade to look
Oh,
like Wesley Snipes.
absolutely, absolutely. I remember, what was that? Uh, radioactive Spider-Man, Spider-Man. Uh,
The Spider-Man cartoon,
yeah,
Amazing Spider-Man. Yeah,
yeah,
the animated Spider-Man
the
series.
classic Spider-Man cartoon. Where was that from? Was it from the late 90s, late 80s, or was it the late? Oh no, it wasn't late 90s. That was
Late
like
90s. I
early
know because I
90s.
used to watch it on what's this? I used to watch it on SABC two.
Yeah. So back then when we were watching this Spider-Man cartoon, um, I remember Blade showed up in that show. Blade and the Punisher. Just at the point where he turned into Man Spider. This
Yeah, I
weird
remember the episode.
He had like this weird looking techno thing. He didn't exactly look like Wesley Snipes. He was hunting Morbius. He had this weird helmet. He did have his sword though, but his sword was like an energy sword. There was a lot of weird stuff. And it's like, is this Blade? And I think this was before Blade was even the movie.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Definitely, definitely.
And now, like, even if you look at games like Fortnite and things like that, with the character models on there, it looks like Wesley Snipes. He has the red glasses, he's got the haircut, he's got the coat. So yeah, those guys are defining that character. Like it's so weird. Even like if you look at the Marvel games, I don't know if you've seen like the I don't know what it's called, but these new Marvel games. And when you see the characters in those games, it's like, ugh, that doesn't look like Steve Rogers to me. Yes, he's wearing the Captain America clothes, but that doesn't look like Captain America because the character models aren't based off the actors.
Oh, oh yeah. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. And then a lot of people are just like, ah,
Yeah,
but he should look like Steve Rogers, and he should look like Tony Stark, who's RDJ, and yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. That's like even like the Spectacular Spider-Man.
Have you, out of curiosity, have you played any of those? Because I didn't.
No, I've only played a bit of I played a bit of Spider-Man. I haven't finished it, but I played quite a bit of it.
Oh, okay. The first one or Miles Morales?
No, no, I played the first one. I haven't gotten into the. I've seen some stuff of the Miles Morales version, but the first one, and it's like even like looking at that, you kind of like, oh, this Peter looks weird. But the more you play the game, then that actually starts to become your Peter Parker,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I totally see
and
that.
that
I totally see
becomes
that.
your.
Yeah, even when they had that whole controversy with, yeah,
Yeah, and apart, did you see for the PS5 version of the game, they changed his character model. So
yeah, I saw, and a lot of people were not happy.
fortunately for me, or unfortunately for me, I don't have a PS5 yet.
Well, join the class, Munir.
Yeah, we must stick to PS4 for now.
I'm trying to get a PS5 also. All right, man. But that was a good discussion. You definitely came with some points that made me think, and I still want them to recast T'Challa, definitely, because I don't want that character to go away because he's too cool, and there's just so many stories of his that I loved reading when I was coming up reading comic books, because he was definitely like my first major black superhero. Because
Yeah,
I, for a long time reading comic books, I didn't see like black people in let alone like African people,
yeah.
quote unquote, in comic books. So I definitely want to see more of him. I mean, I know it's not authentic. Like, Stan Lee did the best that he could, and even with the Black Panther movie, they kind of did the best that they could because they can't, unless you live here and you know the culture of here, you can't like represent it authentically.
Yeah.
That's why, like, when the Quasi cartoon that's coming out soon, everybody pay attention to that. Please go follow everybody that's involved with that. When that comes out, like a lot of people, hey, I have to plug. I have to plug how
Come
that's
on
how it
now, you're
works.
making me shy. You're gonna
But
make me
when a
blush.
lot of people see that,
You get a
hello,
different take on things, or you take a different take when you experience the day to day. And I think like Ryan Coogler, the director on Black Panther, I think that's the reason why my favorite character is Killmonger. It's Eric Killmonger. Um, because he's so much more relatable, because clearly Coogler could write a character from a more relatable perspective. Does that make sense? So his character, funny enough, felt more authentic than um,
yeah,
than the other characters. So your perspective, your day to day, does feed heavily into where you're coming from. So I like from Black Panther. This absolutely, yes, I really do enjoy that movie, but I enjoy it for being a cool action movie. And I'm gonna call out like the bad CGI in places, great fights in other places, cool cinematography here and there. But there's also some dodgy editing in some places as well, But for the most part, put together, it's a cool movie that I can go back to and rewatch. Um, on your point about not wanting to kill off a character, yeah, because an actor died, um, don't just write out the legacy of what that character could be. It's kind of the same way I feel about Iron Man. It's a lot of Iron Man stories that weren't told. Um, but in that universe, Iron Man died. But it doesn't mean we may never see an Iron Man again because, you know, Tony Stark died. We might get a young Tony Stark from a different timeline that shows up that's not RGJ. We might get Riri Williams coming in as Ironheart, you know? So who knows where it's gonna take us. Like that's kind of the cool thing about the MCU. You can speculate and make up a lot of ideas, but what they do, and when they do it pretty well. You know, we watched WandaVision, we had no idea where that was going, and you know, we got a wholesome, dope show uh, where you can't wait to see the next one.
Yeah, no, that I actually enjoyed all of them. I mean, even as we discussed earlier about Loki and all of that stuff. And yeah, as I said, I think that's the main thing is that I don't want them to kill off the character entirely. You know, there's still a lot of stuff I want them to do with that character. But let's move from Marvel for a bit. You know, let's talk about a different universe. You know, one that is less wholesome. I think you told me that you watched it and you read the books as well.
Yeah, yeah,
Let's
yeah.
talk a little bit of Invincible.
Oh, look, I've always been a big fan of Ryan Ottley. He's obviously one of the artists, one of the guys who came together. But Kirkman always had an interesting perspective on telling stories. Like Robert Kirkman is responsible for The Walking Dead, for Preacher, I think it's Preacher, yeah, and Invincible. And yeah, it's just a completely different take on superheroes. What would you like to know about Invincible? We
I
meet.
can tell you this. I can tell you. I can tell you this. Robert Kirkman is also very responsible for traumatizing me for with a lot of his media.
Oh
A
yeah,
lot of trauma going on there.
oh yeah. Look, the,
Like that comic book, the first time I read it, oh my gosh, because like it starts out so like nice, wholesome, so chill. You know, it feels okay. So for anybody that hasn't read it, like look, the show's been out for a while now. We're gonna get into spoiler territory, so I'm just warning you now. And also in the comic books, we're gonna get into spoiler territory. So if you haven't like read or watched Invincible, there's a time code. You can skip around and you can dodge this whole part, and then come back to this episode of the Geek Mensa Shoot the Shit podcast and check out our discussion on that. It's going to be a lot of fun. Now that that's out the way, what's this? When I read the first issue, right? Like, what's this? It was so like they were building things. It was so nice. It was like this dad was cool, and Mark Grayson was cool and everything. You were enjoying what was going on. Everything is nice, and then like you get to like I think it's like volume 3, and then you just turn the page, and then you just see Omni Man. He just kills that version of the Justice League, and you're
but
just like, wait, what?
but here,
wait,
but here's what happens. Like
why?
I think yeah, it takes a while for that to happen. And I think in the comic book they set it up better because if you read the comic book actually, and I think intentionally has a slow pacing, slower than the show, than the animated show. Like in the comic book, they're not scared to repeat frames and have like just a reaction shot, like talking heads. Like you'll have two characters who are talking, and then the next two frames would be exactly those two frames repeated, and they say nothing. And then the next frame it would have like a small action with the character talking. So um, the pacing in that comic book was in the comics were actually great. Like I enjoy that kind of pacing because it shows how time passes. But when it gets to action, it gets to action. Even when Omni Man takes out the Guardians of the Globe in the comic book, you don't know he just killed them all. You don't know it's Omni Man who killed them because um, because of the way comic books are constructed, you just see like a blood splatter with a sound effect. And you see another character with a sound effect. And then when they reveal it and pull back and show him covered in blood, you know, it almost feels like that reveal is more rewarding, more gruesome.
No, I definitely hear what you're saying, but I think the one thing is that like with the Invincible show, I just think they were scared that like because it was started like a regular cartoon, and then I think like what's this? If you look at it like kids will be like, oh, this is like a new cartoon for me to watch or whatever, and then like if they go through like a couple of episodes where it was like the beginning of the comic book, and then it turns to that, Amazon will be in so much trouble.
Yeah, but like,
Parents will be phoning left, right, and center. So I think they couldn't take their time in the TV show. I think.
but like, I think Invincible is one of those shows where it's a good example of how to cut off the excess fat and just get to sort of to the point. How to adapt your comic book, stay true to the comic book, and adapt it for TV. Because often what you find is things need to be retconned, the story gets changed completely, where things happen and why things happen. And um, I think Invincible stayed true to the comic book for a big part. Like even like things like Amber, Mark's girlfriend in the show. Like sure, she was a white chick who didn't mean much in the comic book, but now she's actually got like sassy, dope personality in the show. So she actually got more developed over time.
But yeah, a lot of people are still like, this one, this you see her, this one, because what like
What like the fact that they like because they're ladies, he's like
because
best
what she
friends.
does in the show, it was kind of just like, but
Yeah, but that's just a means to an end. You know he's gonna hook up with Active Eve at some point. He has to.
yeah, yeah, I know, but I mean that was the thing. Everybody was just like when that happened, they were just like, but I'm saving the world now. I must like it made yeah, like I was just the thing for me is I wasn't like I didn't take it in a like how everyone else took it because how gents get online where they're just like you see now you see that's how women are what you want me
Yeah.
to I must drop everything for you.
Yeah.
But I was just saying that like was this it would have. Okay, go ahead, go ahead.
No, no, I'm listening. I'm listening. I'm listening. Carry on.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I was just saying, like, for me, I understand that she was like upset. I think they could have like, translated her upsetness a lot better and maybe not make it lead to a breakup. She could have said something like, I just need to think about this or something like that. And I mean again, they in high school. So high school it was full of nonsense.
Yeah. Look,
Like, you had stupid fights over little small things, especially when you had a girlfriend.
yeah. But see if they made the fight seem more like stupid, like you said, and they just broke up because they teenagers and they break up over dumb stuff. Because they try to retcon this idea. Mark, you never there. When I asked you to do this, you didn't come. Oh, the soup kitchen, you never came to help us out. Blah blah blah. But then later on, when he reveals, oh, I've been invincible all the time, and she's like, I knew, I'm not stupid. Then why did she break up with him? If she knew that was his reason, like definitely you can tell there's certain places where things got retconned.
So no yeah like and the other thing was that like that time he's supposed to be at the soup kitchen, he's getting his chest caved in by a giant Mufasa from another planet is
Yeah,
so, so like now you get more mad at her because you're just like he would have been there but he didn't have most of his chest inside of him, so like lady relax.
yeah. People. Yeah, watch this space. I read the comics. Wait until War Beast comes back. Woo! I think that's his name.
Yeah, no, actually, what where that goes is also really insane, and
Yeah.
all of that good
Yes.
stuff. So yeah, but I mean, like the show was crazy. Like the fight scenes were like spectacular,
Yeah.
and that train scene, that train scene,
The train scene.
yeah, where Omni Man holds Mark to the train
Oh, I
in
just.
the finale.
Yeah, yeah. But it's a cool look. Like that's what I like about what Kirkman does as
I
well.
was
It's
like,
like
I
they focus on the things in the superhero genre that you wouldn't normally focus on. And like I know season 2 and 3's been greenlit, so people who don't know the comic book background, geez, you're in for a surprise because it moves and the story doesn't stay still. Their universe, their world changes. Like I actually think the way Kirkman wrote Invincible inspired a bit like how we approach Quasi. Like when things happen, the consequences of that thing is felt. Like when something as simple as Omni Man throwing Mark or throwing Invincible through buildings and crashing through people. The consequences are felt because you look around, there'll be cars turned upside down, people dead under the cars, people with severed limbs, the casualties and the destruction that's caused actually gets focused on, not kind of blown off like most superhero stuff. Even in the Marvel movies, all the destruction and things that happen, the city is always conveniently evacuated with no civilians on the street. And in Invincible, that doesn't happen. There's civilians. Mark has accidentally killed many people, you know. Not his fault at all, but people have died through Mark making us the smallest mistake.
Yeah, no, they definitely amp up the consequences in like Invincible in the comics and in that show in general. So I mean, yeah, and where it goes next, like the people that are coming, because like people don't understand that Omni Man is actually the nicest of the Viltrumites. Like he's
Exactly,
actually like the
exactly.
nicest of that like like the
What,
people that follow him afterwards. Oh my gosh.
what was her name? I'm trying to remember that character's name now. The Walter Mike woman who I don't know. Do you know the situation that happens with Mark?
Oh yeah, that one. Yeah, yeah.
I wonder if they'll be able to do that in the show. Adissa,
I think
Adissa.
they might. I think they might. Anissa, yeah. Anissa, yeah. I think they
Oh,
might do that.
yo, that like
I
that
think I
that's
think they might just go for
like
it.
that's dark, and that's deep. And Mark just carries on with his life for a while. Like he just like, oh, it happened. Yeah.
Yeah, like I mean eventually they address it.
And talking about multiverses, when the time travel stuff
Like
happens, with the alternate universe, they're not even
yeah, yeah,
ready
yeah.
for.
Like and
They're not even ready for that yet.
oh yeah, when
What's his name?
geez, the dude with the big brain, right?
Yeah,
The
yeah,
guy with the with the
with the
with
big
the big
brain.
brain.
What's his name? Bolstrom something.
I'm trying to remember his name now. What was it? It was the Invincible. It was like he caused the Invincible War, and
Yes,
I'm
yes,
just trying to
yes.
remember who. Geez, why am I forgetting his name? Come
I'm
on,
also
like
trying. I think it's Wallstrom something or Wallstrom something.
yeah, I
And
can't find him.
Angstrom Levy.
Angstrom Levy. There we
Yeah,
go.
dude causes
Yeah,
and
Angstrom
people need to
Levy.
watch out for Robot also for Rex.
Oh yeah, with what goes on with him. Actually, like for me in the book, I felt like that was a bit like I'm not gonna say what happens because we won't spoil the entire book because
Yeah,
we'll see how they do it in the like maybe we'll come back for a discussion for season 2 when
yeah.
season 2 drops and
Prognosis or
finishes and
what
then we'll
we.
do like an episode to discuss that. But
Yeah,
like I thought that thing with Robot in the books, I thought that was a bit like a bit of weak writing to me because like the reason why he does what he does in that it wasn't strong enough in my opinion because like Robot, as much as he's shown to be like this cold calculating dude, you do, and they showed in the show as well, you do get to see a lot of like his humanity. So when he does what he does in the books, it just felt kind of strange to me in my opinion.
yeah. But I think the idea was it is strange, but it's also that his opinion became jaded when him and Monster Girl lived for so long in that other dimension, and then coming back. So you've lived so long, you're so jaded that you've kind of figured you've had a test run at creating a utopia. Am I giving anything away? I don't know if I'm giving spoilers. You basically run a utopia and now you come back and want to create it again.
Well, I mean, even if you say like the board like you're given the broad strokes because like the levels it goes to is actually pretty nuts.
It is.
So
Yeah,
I
I'm,
think
I'm
like
trying
you're
not to
not being
get
too
too specific because I don't want to give too much
spoilery.
away in case people still want to go follow it or that we give all the, you know, get into it too deep and then people don't enjoy it. It's like you spoiled everything. You told us exactly what was going to happen. One spoiler that I know is going to happen. Mark's going to get a brother. How he gets that?
Ah
Mark's
man.
going to get a brother, and how he gets that brother is going to be cuckoo bananas.
Oh Lord. Oh Lord, they don't know. Like the thing is with with this comic book and like I mean like the people that are coming. the people that like the conquest, like yo,
Oh yeah, you actually just said his name.
people are not ready for conquest. Like yeah,
But there is, like you said, like now that I'm thinking of the comic book, or there are a few places where there is weak writing, like why things get settled, why things change, why Mark and his father are put in the spotlight by the other Baltramites, and so forth and so forth. You know, like the initial story, or initially when they come up at them, is because his father didn't fulfill his mission, right? And later on, that same mission is going to be passed down to Mark, is to rule or control Earth, but he's not going to be able to do it. But so when they can't fulfill that or get them to do what they want them to do, they have to create a new one. Once Mark and his father sort out that situation, I don't want to give things away. Like I'm trying to speak in riddles here. I don't know if you're understanding me.
no, I read everything, so I know
Dispute.
exactly what you're talking
Once
about.
they settle that dispute, then the Baltramites need a new reason to come up after Mark and his dad. And the new reason is kind of BS for me. It's like Dragon Ball Z. You're a legendary Saiyan, and therefore I need to find you and conquer you. They set him up for so long that
Yeah.
they just regular Valtramites or Voltramites, and then later on they're like, no, your bloodline is special, Mark and Nolan. You know, it's like fuck it, man.
Oh yeah.
Because what's his name?
That was I get what you're saying. That
Also,
came out of nowhere. But uh, you're talking about Thrag.
Thrag. There we go.
Uh,
Ooh, that is yeah.
yeah, no, I mean, yeah, that's the thing. Like, but I mean, with this, it's just proof that your story can't be 100. Like,
Watch
there's just
Invincible.
nowhere that you can make because it's a great story.
Yeah. And it's a cool take, man. Like it's a really different perspective. It's all the tropes. Like that's the cool thing about it. It still has all that superhero, um, form a team, break up from a team, form your own team, be solo as a hero. Ooh, life of being a hero and being a regular person is difficult. You know, it's got all those kind of tropes, but it's just told itself from a unique perspective, and that's what makes the story interesting. And sometimes the resolutions that you need to get to, or
Yeah.
the
I mean, that's
resolutions
that's the best
people
that you
make,
can do.
yeah, the resolutions people sometimes get to, is not just black and white, like the simple hero thing. Sometimes people have to die to stop them from coming back in the future. Sometimes you have mercy on someone, and it has massive ramifications and consequences in the future. And they ask that kind of questions. They aren't scared of the difficult questions in Invincible.
Yeah. No, it is like that thing of I can't believe you let that person go. Are you kidding me? Didn't you know he did this and this and that and that? And then like the character that said that will turn around and do something that's equally as bad, and you're just like, well, now you're not in a position to talk about like that person like that because you also did something along those lines. So yeah, it does.
Yeah,
It asks a lot of hard, tough questions, definitely.
exactly. I'm just looking for them to show me. One of my favorite characters is Alan the Alien.
Yeah.
I want to see his story unfold.
Uh,
Looking forward to seeing that unfold.
and his
And his
story is
growth,
also bananas and nuts, and it bounces up and down.
right? Right? Like sometimes you expect one thing from a character, and then it's the same thing
No,
that
Alan the Alien is just another one.
I think it's the same thing they do with Nolan. Like throughout, like even the animated show, they build him up as this guy who's just. He seems like the best, but you as the viewer know, nah, this guy's hiding stuff. He's the worst. You almost predict that he's the villain. Like maybe I have a bias because I read the book, so I knew where it's going. But in the show itself, I know where it's gonna go with him. So spoiler, he's not actually a villain. He stops wearing gloves and shoes. I always found that weird in the comics.
Yeah. No, I remember. Yeah, definitely.
I
And
don't know.
like the funniest thing is the funniest thing is my friends who have just started watching, or like people that I know that have just started watching, they're
Yeah,
literally in like they're on Twitter and everything, and they're just like, Nolan will never be redeemed. He can never be redeemed. He can never. I hate this dude. I hate Nolan. I hate Omni Man. Omni Man is the worst. And then
yeah.
it's just,
It's because they don't.
hey, you don't know,
You
but
don't know.
okay.
You don't know what's happening. You don't know where he's gonna come. You don't know the shit he's still gonna go through.
Yeah.
Comparing him to what's his name to what's the dude from the boys?
A
Um,
Homelander.
Homelander. Yeah, like that. That's how good. That's how good Kirkman is. A character can go as far in your perspective as what Omni Man has done, right? But they trickle through his redeeming factors. But you can't notice it because the horror of what he does is so bad in your perspective, in the scale of your perspective. But as the story expands and you start to see the scale of what could still go down, you start to realize that what he did is kind of not that bad, and he's got um, room for redemption. But I also think it's how Mark plays off it because you're obviously going through the journey as Mark. So you start to let things unfold. You allow the characters to you kind of give them a second chance. You're able to trust people again.
Yeah, which is crazy. Which is like that's one thing about the Invincible. Like when you read it, and it yeah, which is it's actually crazy. So I mean, like again, what's this? If you're too curious, I mean, they make enough changes in the TV show that if you do read the books, I still think you'll be in for some surprises. Especially that train scene was one of the worst surprises I've ever seen in an
Yeah.
animated show because I did not see that coming. It was just like, oh my gosh. And it's just like, how do like these animators? You guys must have PTSD. Like you guys need to go to the doctor. You need to go to a psychiatrist.
Now the other thing is like the surprise is like Mark's beatdown. It is in the comics, yo, but the TV show made it so much worse. Like with his teeth getting knocked out and flashing back to him being a child and his dad hovering. Oh, it's literally a meme now. That shot with him like, think, Mark, think.
Think, Mark. Think.
Like it's like those are that shot is so iconic that it's become a meme. Look, I've been excited for this for a long time. I'm in it for the long run for the show, for Invincible. I can't wait for the next season. I was actually super keen on what's it called? Jupiter Rising, Jupiter's Legacy. I'm gonna say Jupiter's Rising. As well, but
Yeah.
apparently that got cancelled. That also had a unique take. Yes, it was kind of camp. It was kind of camp, but that was you know, um, what's his name? Mike Miller. That was their take, and I
Yeah.
think if
Yeah.
people have to stick with it for long enough and actually see what they're setting up in that universe, like where it's going. And I think the same thing is happening for Invincible. They just managed to pace it and keep it, right on point to keep it edgy, keep it moving, introduce you to new elements constantly. Um, I think the only episode I didn't like was what were they called? Those robot dudes. Do they call them no men or non men or whatever? In the comic they have a name as well.
Wait, is this Jupiter's
No, no, no. I'm
legacy?
talking about
Is it?
Invincible. Invincible.
Oh, oh,
The Cecil Soul. Well, later on they become like Cecil.
the Animan. Is it the Animan?
The anime. That's the one, or whatever they call. Yeah, that I have to say that wasn't my favorite episode.
Invincible.
When they went to the college.
Yeah, yeah. I know. I don't think they called the Animan, or are they called Reaniman? Reaniman. There we go.
Reaniman, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's the robots who what's this? And that's the other thing. Hey, yo, they more like, but that's the other thing about that show and even that comic book. Hey, they more invincible, bro. Like, you must change his name.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Not so invincible. I think Atom Eve's name should be invincible.
Yeah, she does better than him. Like, shoo. Like, eventually he gets a lot better, but like, yo, invincible is not the name for this guy because yo, he just gets destroyed.
Yeah, but I think they even imply it, like in the show they try to make it more direct than the comics, as that his will is invincible, that his mind, his drive is invincible. He can get knocked down so many times but he'll always get up. I think that was like the point of his name, more than being like I'm actually invincible. I think that's the irony of it. I think that's the reason why he gets beat up so much, is that he has a sort of ironic name. What? Because they ask him, "What would you want to be?" And he says, "Like I'd want to be," and then the title card comes up. I'd want to be invincible.
Yeah, no, I mean they translate that very well.
Yeah,
And actually, for the comic book script that I'm developing, I definitely want to like steal some of that, because I think that's one of the things that made it so compelling, is that like the fact that he had to keep getting up in spite of a lot of horrible stuff happening to him,
yeah.
which I definitely liked that. So
And the
yeah.
horrors that happen don't stop. Yeah, like in the comic book, there's some places in the comic book, like I'm not going to get specific, but there's moments in the comic book where characters have to say, like, you know what, I'm actually done, and then they actually are done. They're like, I like sometimes running away or walking away from a situation is also an answer. Sometimes moving and getting as far away from it as you can is also an answer or solution. Like there's moments when they literally do this. Like this place is going down the shithole. Like this planet or whatever is fucked. Like I can't even help, so it's pointless for me to go in. So I'm done. I'm out. But actually, like they're not afraid to ask those questions in the show, or those type of solutions sometimes.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, there's like they do a lot of like stuff where you understand why. Like you're not
Yeah.
looking at those characters like, when you see now. No, you kind of just like, no, I get it. You have to. I understand. Yeah, okay, but yeah. Oh my gosh. So, what's this? With that being said, I want to bring us to our artist spot for this particular episode one. So, for those of you that, well, for everybody, because this is practically new on Geek Men's Suit the Shit episode one. What's this? We talk about some local artists that we've been following on Instagram that are really doing their thing and really inspiring. A lot of other people to pick up the pen and stuff, and like guys that I really believe people should check out. So, Clyde, do you want to go first and maybe throw forth a name and tell me who you think in the artist spot we should be having a look at right now?
Uh, First off, I'll throw out a name. It's Clyde Beech. Up and comer, doing the most. Great artist. There's one homie that I know, Bad Art Makuna. Um, a guy used to Makuna, as I know him. Um, Dope artist. He's been around. He's good portrait painter. I worked with him briefly. I think he one of my illustrators? He was one of my inkers when I was art directing at Striker. So he used to either illustrate or ink, or both. While we were working on Super Strikers, the comic book, like definitely check out his stuff. Cool guy. He's from Congo, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, but he's actually a fantastic artist. Um,
Do you know how you spell that?
um, Bad. His Insta tag is BadBadMukUNA. Bad art BADART,
AMUKUNA.
and then MUK.
All right. Okay. Cool. I'll just take that down. I'll put it in the link in the description down below so that people can just go hop over there and follow him. With what's this? For those of you who are listening to this, hopefully it's not too choppy. I'm experiencing a pretty bad connection, so you might experience a little bit of delays. So yeah, sorry about that. Hopefully in the future, when you guys help this podcast grow a little bit, we'll be able to do some more smoother stuff. I just want to insert that there because the internet problem is my side. But what I was saying was that the person I want to bring forth today for my artist spot is going to be I'm just trying to say if I got this right. Tobani Gambushe. I think I'll put the link in the description down below so that people can also go follow him. It's THOBANIGAMBUSHE. That's how he spells it. So he's been doing some really cool things. I especially am a big fan of how he does his anatomy, because it's very like it's very powerful, but it's still very like comic booky. So it's not like it's super accurate, but like the ideas that it like brings forth and stuff like that, and the way he sets up his action scenes, and from the stuff that I've seen of him, I really like his style as well. And he's a really cool dude as well.
Fantastic.
He's even helped me give me some advice on some of the stuff I've been working on. So I really like him.
Excellent. That's always the best kind of thing when you can find guys who make your life easier and give sort of good advice. Um, the little shorthands and things like that.
Yeah, no, like the Instagram art community is actually really cool. The Twitter one, on the other hand, I'm good.
I don't know, man. I'm on Twitter, but I don't share that much on Twitter. Apparently, recently I found out that the LinkedIn art scene and community is putting people together quite well as well. So maybe that's another platform to look at. To if you are promoting yourself as a freelancer or as an up and comer, maybe that's another platform to put up your virtual resume, your virtual portfolio, uh, because then it would be business minded people looking at your content.
Yeah, I might wanna look at that. I'm not an organized person, so LinkedIn might be a little bit too organized for me. But anyway, what's this? With that being said, and with all of that stuff that we've covered, I enjoyed doing this. I want to do this again and everything. Loves talking comic books and nerd sci-fi stuff with you. That was really cool. So we're probably gonna do this again, right? We're probably gonna do
Yeah,
this
man, definitely. I had fun.
again and
If people,
talk some more geek stuff. I'm looking to talk some more Star Wars stuff.
yeah, and if people are commenting or giving feedback or whatever, let us know what you'd like to hear, what we can change, how we can improve. Obviously, this is the first go at this, so quite exciting, like yeah. So let us know where we can get better. What you'd like to speak about, what you'd like to hear about. Put your topics and suggestions in the comments, I suppose.
Yes, and please go follow Clyde Beech on all of his social medias. I'll have all the links in the description down below of the video as well, and I'll probably also in the description of wherever I put this audio podcast up. But yeah, he really is. He really is a really like. He won't say it, but I'll say it for him. It's fine. Like, he really is talented, and he really deserves a lot of support.
Thanks so much, man. I appreciate it. You're also doing the most. I see you. You're practicing both on your writing and your illustrations. Doing the most out there and putting out this kind of media. I think it's about time. Like I think people are hungry for this kind of content. Just a local, a different perspective on the things that are happening both locally and internationally. Because obviously our opinions change based on where we situated, how we were brought up. So it's nice to have a fresh take on this kind of content, and I'm really excited to see where this can go.
All right. So I guess that's gonna be episode 1 of Geek Mensa Shoot the Shit. I had fun. It looks like Clyde had fun, which is good because we've been dealing with a bit of technical connection issues from my side in particular. Hopefully we'll be able to sort that out by the time episode 2 rolls around. But with that being said, thank you to everybody who's listening. Thank you, Clyde Beech, for being here, and we're gonna see you all in the next episode. Okay, stay tuned to hit your notifications, and wherever you find your podcast is where you're gonna find this podcast. Okay, peace and love.